Yay.
Right. Well, I'm Emily,
I'm Chelsea. And this is
and
Mom Needs a Minute. Hey, oh, sorry.
sure is. Sure
My
is.
bad. My bad. I
Yes.
was trying to just ease into it, okay? And we can
No,
never
you were
just.
perfect. No, you were perfect. You did a great job.
Ugh. Okay. Should I
Chels?
ask? Oh,
Or
me?
you can ask, do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Well, yours is probably going to be longer.
Probably.
Well, I need a minute because we got 2 farm kittens from my mom, and now one of them is missing. And we've been having them live inside for the last 2, 3 weeks almost now. One of them has gone missing. So that's stressful, but they've been so much fun to snuggle and play with. So I'm hoping that he just meanders back. The boys named them Oreo and Reese's, which I thought was very cute. We should post pictures of them and videos just because they're adorable.
Yeah, I have an idea. I'll talk to you about it later, though.
Oh, okay. Um, my mom is coming tomorrow.
Ooh.
We're gonna go and do a class, and we're gonna learn how to spin yarn.
Don't you already know that?
No, well, no, I suck at it. I'm able to do it in very tiny, teeny, tiny little doses with what is called a drop spindle, which is like basically you do it by hand. But what I
Mm,
want,
okay.
is a big spinning wheel, like in Sleeping Beauty. You
Sure.
poke your finger where she pokes her finger and she sleeps.
No idea.
You have never seen Sleeping Beauty?
We've gone over this multiple times. We did not watch princess movies growing up, besides Mulan and The Little Mermaid.
Well, Mulan is a staple.
Oh, I know. It's
So,
Kendall used to call it mow the lawn.
okay, well, I can see it.
I
No, Sleeping Beauty was my favorite. And actually, I wanted, if Bentley was named, or if Bentley was a girl, I wanted to do Aurora as his name, but 𝓸𝓸𝓪𝓵 sounds so bad.
I can't pronounce ours, so I would have been so screwed saying his name.
Imagine my brother-in-law.
Yes, him and I both would have been on the same dang page, but I think he might have been worse.
He's certainly more
He's worse. I
worse
feel
off
his
than you
pain
are as
though.
far as that goes. Because when I
Hmm.
told him, he goes, "You're joking, right?" And I said, "No, that's what I really wanted to."
I think I remember him saying this story. I do. That
Probably.
poor guy. He thought
I
he was in
didn't do
for it.
it. Arguably, it was a boy,
You
so I didn't have
couldn't.
a. I can name him whatever I want. Um, no, it's in the movie at the beginning. The reason she's sleeping is because Maleficent lures her up to the top of the castle. And there's the big spinning wheel with the poisoned little pokey part. And so she touches the poisoned little pokey part and she sleeps. Okay. I want one of those spinning wheels so goddamn bad. Okay. They're huge and they're expensive, but I have wanted one since I was a child, before I knew how to crochet or anything, before I even looked at a skein of yarn. I was like, that is going to be in my house one of these days.
Yeah, I can definitely see that out of you.
And so I want to learn, because if I want one in my house, I have to learn how to spin yarn, which means I have to
Mm,
learn how to use it because they are expensive.
I bet.
So my mom and I are going to go do this class on Friday
Where is it?
in Nome. It's at the schoolhouse.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be
So she's
fun.
coming tomorrow. She's coming tomorrow to sleep over, and then we're going to head out right away in the morning.
There you go. That'll
So
be fun. Well, where are the boys going then?
they're going to stay home.
Oh,
It's only till noon, so we should be back before 2.
true. Yeah.
So,
Hmm. That'll be fun. I think
yeah.
some mother-daughter bonding time wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Mostly because I want to tell Patrick that I know how to spin yarn now, and I can have a $800, $1,000 spinning wheel in my craft room.
We might have to wait till after Bentley's trip for that.
Have you seen how big my craft room is? It won't fit in here. Will not fit.
I don't even know what one looks like, so I have no idea.
They're very large.
Whatever he's
They're
doing, he
very
met
large.
his goal of like he closed all 3 rings. So whatever he's doing.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I just heard it kind of die down, so it sounds like he shut the four-wheeler off. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if
Who knows? We'll
using a
see.
4-wheeler searching for a kitten is a very,
I think he was trying to get like back into the trees a little
I
better.
suppose, yeah.
So, I don't know. Hopefully he comes home soon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to have 2 really bummed little boys. And I feel really bad about it because it was like my idea.
You didn't
Because like
know.
no, we've been leaving them in the breezeway, and there's the one door that goes from the breezeway to the garage. And then I put the dogs out in the garage, but I opened the back garage door because we have a little fence in there.
Yeah.
So they can get outside and use the bathroom. But it's been so cold in the mornings, and they really do like their kennel. Granted, we leave it open all of the time. And so they're not ever really kenneled, but they like being in there.
Yeah.
And so then I felt bad because I was like, okay, I feel bad because I want them to be able to like lay in their kennel in their cozy, comfy, like safety spot.
Yeah.
And the kittens are like 8 weeks old now. So I was like, well, they're going to be outdoor cats. So maybe it would be cool, like nice if they started getting used to being out in the garage or whatever. And so I left it open, and I'm well aware that they could get out of the fence that I have set up for the dogs. Well aware. But I figured if they did wander out, they would wander back immediately because they've never wandered off on their own like that before. And I doubt that they would, and even if they did, they would have been back very quickly. Because they don't even like to go in the garage.
Yeah, that's what makes me think he's somewhere and he's just too scared to come out. Honestly, because
So
there's no way he got that far. Have you seen
I'm
Microwave and Boots? Is that
seen both of them.
okay? So that's what
Seen
makes
both
me
of them.
think
We have Oreo.
he has to be somewhere close by, and he just is too scared to come out of hiding. Kind of like Lola was, remember?
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't.
hope so.
I
But
honestly just
I feel really guilty about it, though, is what I'm
yeah.
saying. Is I feel really guilty because I was the one that made the decision to like leave that door open so the dogs could be in their kennel, but the kittens could start to explore a little bit. I'm the one that made that decision this morning before I left, so I feel really guilty about it.
Yeah, and I'm eventually it had to happen though. You know.
Yeah, I should have waited until they were a little bigger, though, I guess. But it doesn't matter, I suppose. So, Chelsea, tell me why you need a minute this week, because otherwise I'm going to spiral.
Fair enough. Reason number 1, I don't really need a minute. It will I don't know. It's more of like a pointing out it's October, which means it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Which means go check those titties, make sure that they're good. Whether you think they are or not, get them checked.
Correct. Yes, yes, yes. Do you have any like websites or resources that you want to
No,
share?
I have one resource. Her name's Kendall, and she has breast cancer, and I just ask her questions.
Correct. Well, correct. We can post some resources in the description box here, but it is very important. Make sure you know how to give yourself a self-examination.
Yeah.
Check that out. My aunt also had breast cancer. Thankfully, she did go into remission now, so it's not a problem right now for her. But for your sister, it definitely still is quite problematic. And I actually know another person who is in the throes of like surgery and chemo and stuff as well for breast cancer. So make sure you are checking them. And it's not always women.
Nope.
Everybody has breast tissue, and breast tissue can cause breast cancer. So every single person has it. So make sure you are checking yourself.
Yeah. Check yourself. And honestly, both of my sisters found the lumps themselves, and that is what Kendall's first round, that's what kind of saved her.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because it can get really aggressive really quite quickly.
Yeah,
And early detection, they always say early detection is
the best.
the best bet.
Even if you
Mm-hmm.
are questioning whether it is something or not, still go in, get it checked, get a second opinion. It's not going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever you
Yep.
do, make sure you are advocating for yourself, checking yourself. Even if, you have a partner, have them do it. Whatever you got
Mm-hmm.
to do.
Yep.
But
Yep.
check, check,
Like I said,
check.
early detection is really what's best. And you deserve to find it soon enough to be able to seek treatment, and your family deserves for you to be able to seek treatment, and like, so hopefully everybody is able to. Finding it earlier is always better, and so
Yep. Yep. I
the more the more they know about it, the more they can research and study and find different ways to help.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah. So that's, one reason. And obviously,
mhm.
it's a huge, huge part of my life. Breast cancer,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Shout out to Kendall, by the way. She's going to be in my cult
yeah.
about Bob's Burgers and the Amityville case.
Yeah.
We already discussed this.
Yeah. Yeah. She's going to be in a cult where you only eat everything you grow yourself and you make
Mhm.
shit
Yep.
out of the shit you grow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Bob's Burgers and the Amityville Horror are absolutely
Yeah.
related.
Somehow. I'm not sure how anymore, but
Ocean Avenue. They both take place on
oh
Ocean
shit.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um yeah, so shout out to Kendall. Here's sending all the good vibes into the universe for
Yeah,
her.
she is the actual strongest person I think I know in my entire life to hold her shit together because I would not be holding my shit together like she is. Hmm.
I would agree with that, I think.
Yep,
Yeah. She is extremely like
she
inspirational, I would
really
say.
is, honestly. She
Mhm.
is. She's an amazing, amazing person, and I am so glad that she's my little sister.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, she is. She's really amazing.
yeah. Anyway, that's gonna make me cry. Next thing. What was it? Oh, so you know how I went to the clinic like last month because you guys were
Mhm.
forcing me to? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Because you were dying and continued to go to work and refused to rest, and it just kept getting worse and worse and
it
worse and
was
worse? Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about?
however, I only went in
Is that what you're
yeah.
talking about?
I only went in because my ear hurt. I didn't go in for anything
Yeah.
else. I was like it's just the allergies or something and I'm fine. Which I was. I was fine a few days later. But they submitted the claim through my insurance and I got the bill yesterday. It was
Mhm.
over $300 and I'm like for her to check me over, there's no fucking way it was $300. So I like, went on the insurance page or whatever and checked over the statement. She submitted that she ran a COVID test and the influenza A and influenza B test. And I was like, I am pretty sure I remember being violated by a fucking cotton swab in my nose and my throat.
Yeah.
So I messaged the the clinic and I was like,
Yep.
that never happened.
She did
No,
not do
she looked at
this.
my
Yeah.
throat and my ears and told me to go buy Sudafed. That was it.
Right.
So I,
I would know if she was gonna stick a cotton
uh-huh.
or a Q-tip up my freaking nose and touch my
Yeah.
brain.
So I was like, I saw that and I was freaking out because I have all of Nolan's other bills, right now, and I'm just like, nope, not
Yep.
happening. So then I was in a fucking heated message argument with them, and they're just like, nope, nope, we can set up a payment plan. And I was like, the fuck we are? So I asked Kendall,
I'm sorry. What are you
yeah,
talking
and I
about?
think text Kendall because obviously she has a lot of insurance claims. Um,
Yep.
and I was like, okay, so my insurance company or my medical insurance company, whatever, was like, you can file a fraud claim. So I asked Kendall, I was like, have you ever done that? And then she asked me why, and I told her, and she goes, let me call him. Because she was feeling feisty, I guess, today. So she
Kendall.
I was like, if I call, I'm gonna just go unhinged on them and I'm not gonna get anywhere because I'm so furious and so
Right.
just stressed and all of that. So Kendall called them
Yeah.
and obviously they're gonna be on the practitioner side or whatever and said that, oh well the
Yeah.
test happened, they're right here. And then Kendall was like, well then where are the results? Because, she was pretending to be me and I never got any fucking results.
Right.
So then she was like, well, where are the results and whatever. And so I had to send them an email to dispute the claim. That's probably not going to get anywhere, but I'm
Nice.
not paying the bill.
No, God, no. That's so
No.
stupid.
Yeah, so that is like, oh my God. And I am just so pissed at the fucking insurance medical system this goddamn country has.
Gotta
Like,
love the American healthcare system. It's
God, like you
disgusting.
can't even go in for anything. Like all I had was my ear looked over. That was it. Because I
Mm-hmm.
woke up and it felt like ass. Nah,
Yeah.
now I end up with this bill that didn't even need to fucking happen.
Of course not. And it's insane to me that your provider can say, "Oh, I ran all these tests, but hey, we have no results actually from these tests. So, but I ran them, so we're going to charge her for
Exactly,
them."
and I went to the walk-in.
What?
I just went to the walk-in because I'm like, I'm not gonna make an appointment because I knew I wasn't gonna get in, which I freaking regret. I should have just went to the normal clinic. But going to the walk-in, and I like when I was even sitting there and she was like pretending to be a doctor because she didn't do shit. I'm like, this is just weird and
Mhm.
sketchy, and you're looking at me like I'm an idiot. The entire time.
I think I burst an eardrum. Can you
Yeah,
please
I was
help
like, I can
me?
barely hear anything right now. It hurts like a bitch. And you're telling me nothing's
Yeah,
wrong and go buy Sudafed. But then here I get this bill because you decided to run this through my insurance.
because you gave me a COVID test and several
Yes.
influenza
And
tests and all of
and
this,
like
and
even
you
in my
didn't.
message, I was like, I went in for an ear infection, thinking I had ear infection. I wouldn't have let them run tests on me because I knew it
Mm-mm.
wasn't COVID. I knew it wasn't influenza. I didn't have,
All I wanted was an antibiotic for
and I
my
didn't even
ear.
get that. Because she told me nothing. She told me it
God.
was fine. You just had a bubble behind your eardrum. And I'm like, okay, it still freaking hurts. And you're going to sit here and look at me like I'm a 12-year-old idiot coming in here? Like, fuck yourself. I knew she was just a piece of shit when I was in there, too. Like, the way she was looking at me, and you can,
God.
and you go somewhere and you can, like, just the way they look at you. I'm
Yep.
like, I'm not stupid. Like, I
Yep.
have had ear problems my entire life. And the last thing I want is to have something major happen. So that is why I'm sitting here
Yep.
right now is for you to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm fine. Because
Yeah. Well, that's like we had a doctor when Maverick was like not quite not quite a year old. And he managed to get chickenpox. You get your chickenpox vaccine when you're 12 months. Well, he
yeah.
wasn't, he was like 10 months or something like that. So I took him in to like, it was like the walk in at our
Yeah.
normal clinic. It
But it
was long before the
mhm.
walk
So
in
before you
town, but
when
it
you
was a
actually
walk
had
in.
the walk-in, now it's like you still have to make an appointment situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we went in and I was like, "Hey, I think my kid has the chicken pox." And the doctor that I got there spent 90% of the appointment screaming at me about how this is what happens when you young parents, you know better and you don't vaccinate your children. I was like, if you would take 2 seconds to look at your screen, he is fully vaccinated up to the point that he can be. He can't get the chickenpox vaccine right now because he's not old enough. But you don't fucking know because you're
You're not paying
what? You're yelling at
attention.
me because I'm a very young mom with 2 kids by the time I'm 23, 24. Like, and I know like I look really young and I certainly did when I was 23,
And I feel like
so it's like you have no idea what you're talking about because if you took 2 seconds you would already know all of this, but you think that you know better than me.
exactly. And I hate when people look at you like, "Well, you're young. You don't know anything." Like, fuck you.
I know when I think I popped an
Yeah, or
eardrum.
even like in your case, it's like it's my son. Like I know this. I know what his life is, and I have like it's just like I will never
You young people. It's like, come on now.
yeah, like I just even when Nolan was younger and I took him in for stuff and he was literally always fucking sick because he was a winter baby. He had RSV
Mhm.
twice. He was constantly sick and you know, I was one of those shitty moms that didn't breastfeed, so that's fun.
Oh, I didn't breastfeed
Yeah,
either,
we're
so we're
really
shitty
shitty
together.
moms, huh? Cuz breast is
We really
best,
are.
huh?
Our poor children.
Sorry, moms.
Our poor
Sorry,
children.
moms who breastfeed.
Nope. Honestly, fed is best if you choose to breastfeed, if you choose to formula. Fed is best.
Fed is best. Is
Period.
period.
End of
That's it.
story. Period. End of story. So we're not trying to like shit on
Oh,
anybody choosing one or the
no. But
other
the people who did shit on
by any
me
means. But
for not breastfeeding, fuck you. Anyway,
yep, yep, those are the people. If you are going to be so opinionated about the way somebody feeds their child, you can bite me.
yeep. But yeah,
I don't have time for
no.
that.
And I'm just like, ugh. I'm just so mad
Yeah,
about it still. And I shouldn't be because I know I'm not going to pay something that I know didn't fucking happen. That bill can go into collections for all I
right.
care at this point because I'm not going to pay something I shouldn't have to pay. Like I check
No,
over
absolutely not.
my statements all the time after every appointment. I can't check over Nolan's
Mhm.
because he's not on my insurance. Otherwise, I would. I just
Mhm.
I like after like everything with Kendall and you know I had a lot of doctor's appointments to make sure that I was okay, and she was like, "Make sure you check over your
Mhm.
statements," and I always remembered that. And I wish I would have when Nolan was
Yep.
born because I'm sure there was a lot of stuff like that they charged me for and I didn't know, and I still paid for it. So, and
Arguably though, you did almost die that time,
yeah,
so
there is that.
they could have done something and you might not have known
But
anyways.
honestly, my bills from having him wasn't that bad. For I don't know how it wasn't, but it wasn't.
Either way, gotta love the American
It's
healthcare system. It's pathetic.
bullshit. Bullshit.
It's literally
It
pathetic.
is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just so mad about it. And mm, just so pissed.
Yeah, that's annoying. I'm glad Kendall was like, "No, we're figuring this stuff
She
out."
loves arguing with people like that, the insurance companies or medical professionals. She loves arguing with them.
I love her. I love Kendall.
Me too. And I'm sure that if they don't email me back in a solid time frame, she will be calling them again.
Probably.
She needs to take her anger out on somebody, and it might as well be somebody that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
that is why I need a minute. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes perfect
Oh my,
sense. Yeah.
I literally got the bill and I cried because I'm like, I can't. No.
Well, I don't blame you cuz it's like if I would know if you ran these tests. They're pretty like they're not like awful tests, but they're invasive enough to be
If I thought
obnoxious.
I had COVID, I would have tested myself at home. I have one here. That is how well, I already know that I didn't do it because I remember it stick getting shoved in my nose or throat. But I'm like, why would I come in and pay $70 for this test when I have one in my cabinet?
Well, right.
That was free.
Not only not only that, but it's like they're they're not necessarily invasive tests, but they're invasive enough to be annoying as
Yeah,
shit.
and that's
You know what I mean? So it's like I remember the last time when last year when all four of us had
mhm.
influenza, I remember getting tested for that and it came back positive and everything like that. But I remember that they tested me
Oh
for
yeah, and then you
that
got the results, right?
versus like, yeah, we did get
Look
the
at that.
results.
Mine's
All four of us had
invisible.
influenza at the same
Oh
time.
Christ.
hmm No, but it's like they're invasive enough to be annoying
Yeah,
where you would remember them
and I
happening.
was obviously sober when I was there, so how would I forget that appointment? Like you know what I mean? Like
How many drinks do you think that you would have to drink? How much do you think you would have to drink in order to forget
you got sticks shoved
taking a
up your
COVID
nose or your
test?
throat. Like what the fuck? And then they have no proof.
I would have to drink so much to forget that.
Seriously, and they have no proof for my test results. So what? Oh, okay.
It's Yeah,
Like,
it's the
you are
lack of the results
dumb.
that's really quite.
And I think they're just trying to.
You really think? You really think you're gonna do this? But okay, like, it's that TikTok sound, like, "Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's fucking
Yeah,
go."
I'm just like, I'm fighting this fucking fight because I don't have the money to sit here to pay for 3 tests that were never even done. Like,
Mhm.
fuck that place.
Seriously.
Anyway,
There you go.
before I keep going on
There
and
you go.
just continue trash talking the place.
Are you ready for a story?
Yes, please get my mind
All
off
right.
this.
So, because it is spooky season, and in honor of spooky season, I've decided you need a spooky story.
Hmm.
This one is a little shorter. It's a North Dakota story, and there are only really so many accounts of. Well, I went on Reddit to find like firsthand accounts of people experiencing things or whatever. But like I said, it's
Yeah.
North Dakota, and it is very rural and out in the middle of nowhere. And so it's like there's only so many firsthand stories on Reddit or whatever, you know. So a lot of the stories are like verbally told to people versus like shared. So it's shorter than I wanted it to be. I was really hoping to get some like better Reddit story, like firsthand stories. The rest of it is pretty interesting in my opinion, but I was pretty bummed about Reddit. Reddit failed me today,
I'm sure it's good.
which I think is maybe the first time Reddit has ever actually failed me. So
Damn. I haven't been on there in a while. I should probably revisit.
I love Reddit. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the Stairway to Hell.
What the fuck's that?
It is in a small town called Tagus, North Dakota.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up a map. Yeah.
Oh my
I'm leaving
god!
I'm leaving that in there.
Oh!
Somehow I'm fitting it in there.
So, if you, first of all, if you Google Gateway to Hell, the first thing that comes up is the Darvaza gas crater in Turkmenistan. Okay? It's a big hole in the ground. Like it's like a cave kind of collapsed basically. And it is one of the eternal flames on the planet. Okay. So a lot of the times people think that because this big cave is constantly on fire, it is part of,
Okay.
the gateway to hell, right? Which makes sense. And this gas crater, this oh gosh, Darvaza gas crater has been nonstop burning since the 80s. Okay. And then there are several more of these eternal flames like throughout the world. There's one in New York State that's behind a waterfall, and that's like the most famous eternal flame. There's one in Turkey, which who would have thought? They are not Turkey, Turkmenistan are two different things, and they are separated by like a good chunk of land. I am very bad at geography, so I learned something new today, which I love. Another one is in Ethiopia. There's one in Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan, which is near Turkey, not Turkmenistan. There's one in Iraq, one in Taiwan, one in Australia, and one in Indonesia. So there's several of these eternal flames, and you can look them up, and they are very, very cool because they are eternal flames.
Huh.
They're literally always burning.
Those are like a lot of random areas.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I suck at geography, so I'm not 100% sure. But based on what I was reading, it sounds like they are on either above, like, very, like the first one is over a cave. It almost looks like a cave kind of like sunk in on itself. The rest of them seem like they're kind of like plate, where, you know, the plate's kind of, anyway, they've all been attributed to the gates of hell at some point in
Okay.
time. However, because of the duration of these fires, it does make a lot of sense that people would be like, what the fuck, right? It's very difficult to understand that these could happen, right? Without it being something supernatural.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, if it was unexplainable to their knowledge, a lot of the time it was considered supernatural or divine intervention or demons or God or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So if some of these have been burning for thousands of years at this point, and so it makes sense that people would think that there's something spiritual or supernatural or whatever going on here, right? In reality, they are really just like gases, like underground gases reacting with other underground gases, and it's just the perfect conditions for a fire, such as in a cave. There's just the perfect conditions for a fire, and there's not much around to like interfere with that, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would be thought of as the gateway to hell back in the day, when in reality there is an actual scientific explanation for it that they probably don't know. So all of these places, if you Google gateway to hell, these can show up, and I can absolutely see why they were called the gateway to hell, or but in reality they're just gases interacting with each other for thousands of years under the perfect circumstances, and they're just really hot places with fire. There are also thousands of years old stories from some like Chinese lore about being the portal to commune with the dead or reincarnation or any of that, right?
Yeah.
And so those could all also be pointing to portals to hell, right? All of these stories, they've all got a location, they've all got the story and stuff to it. The problem with these is Chinese and Eastern religions, such as those practiced in this area, are vastly different to Western Christian religions, and in a very big, significant way. And that significant way is that they don't believe in heaven and hell the same way that Christians do. So the main character is missing, and that would be Satan himself.
Oh.
They don't believe in it the same way that you and I would see it.
Yeah.
So their stories are fascinating and wonderful, but they just don't fit this version of hell, as this is a stairway or a gateway to hell, if that makes sense. So this brings us to what our definition of what we would believe which would be Western Christianity, essentially, of heaven and hell with God and Satan. And whether you are practicing religion or not, you still kind of know the story of heaven and hell. God rules heaven, Satan is in hell, whatever, right? So that is the definition that we go off of when I'm talking about the gateway to hell. And we want that hell with Satan himself. We don't want it, but that's what we're talking about. So there is St. Patrick's Purgatory is a monastery in Ireland where St. Patrick was, quote, subjected to disturbing visions of hell by no less a light than Christ himself. So they think that this monastery in Ireland could be potentially one of these like gateways to hell, right? This monastery could be open, but they're like, you know, it's not whatever. Then there is the Gates of Guinea in New Orleans. Quote, the Gates of Guinea promises admittance to the demon's lair with a few conditions. First, you have to locate 7 different gates, which are scattered throughout the city. Then you have to open them all in the correct order. End quote. Which sounds like a scavenger hunt to
It
me.
does.
And I'm a little up for it, to be honest with you. I'm a little up for it. So apparently if you find these 7 portals and open them in the correct order, you can be taken to the underworld known as Guinea, which again could also be kind of a portal to hell, right?
Yeah.
In theory. So, quote, this is not a place of torture or punishment, but rather a murky plane in which spirits must pass through before reaching the deep waters where they'll be reunited with their ancestors, end quote. And this is per the voodoo religion, which honestly is a beautiful religion. We learned about it when we went to New Orleans a couple years ago, and it is so not at all what you think it is. Like what you envision it is, it's not at all.
Really?
It's like the demonized version of it is what you envision. It's beautiful, really. They are very much more of associated with like appreciating what's around us, nature, beauty, blah, 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 all of that, while also thanking the heavens and the earth and whatever for the things that they have. And they do the little like rituals and stuff in order to say spark abundance or say try to communicate with one of their loved ones, which is very much like what you think now. What, you know, like say you grab a Ouija board or something, and or you just sit there and you talk into the wind and say, hey dad, I miss you a lot today, can you send me a sign or whatever, you know what I mean? And so it's like very much like that, but they have more in like they have very lovely rituals. And honestly, the voodoo religion and voodoo and hoodoo are really quite fascinating and not as scary as people typically think they are. So either way, this is a gorgeous, in my opinion, this is like a really nice story, right? You have the 7 portals, you open them the correct way, you get to go to the underworld, which is like the place where people are kind of chilling, waiting to be reunited with their ancestors and their loved ones. Right?
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that's cute. I think that's nice. It would be nice to, it's like kind of in my head, it's like a landing zone, right? The like, it's like the halfway between Earth and, you know, your afterlife, right? It's like a welcome center in my head.
We're on 2 different pages. In my
What
head,
page are you on?
I got like the Beetlejuice when they're in that when they're sitting in the waiting.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay.
It could be a combination of both. Because this sounds nicer
I know.
than that waiting room.
I mean, it was entertaining in the waiting room, probably.
It does say murky plane, so it could look very similar. Either way, I think that it sounds like really nice because it sounds like a waiting room, Beetlejuice adjacent, and that kind of like leads you into the direction of your ancestors or your loved ones, the ones that you want to kind of run into. No, Beetlejuice, they did not do that for them. Okay.
Well, in my head, they did. I love that movie.
They were like, why didn't you? I know, we watched it the other day. They were like, why didn't you read the goddamn book? They're like, we did. They're like, we can tell you fucking
you
didn't.
didn't.
So,
I need to watch that. Nolan and I want to watch it. Michael's like refusing to watch it, but we're gonna watch it.
why is he refusing to watch it?
He doesn't like it. I grew up watching that movie, and I have to watch it.
Michael,
I know.
Michael.
He's not as cool
He
as you
doesn't
think.
like it?
No, he doesn't. I know.
Man, he just lost a lot of points in my book.
Yeah, mine too.
Might be a deal breaker for me, honestly.
Well, I think you're stuck with him.
Man, either way, regardless, though, this still doesn't quite fit the version of hell that we're thinking of when you think of Gateway to Hell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But all of these things are pretty commonly referred to as a potential gateway to hell, even though they're not quite the way that the hell that you're thinking of. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's always a difference in explanation. Say, the people with the voodoo religion here in New Orleans finding just this kind of purgatory in between place. There's this one in Ireland. There's the eternal flames that are able to be scientifically explained that weren't 1,000 years ago or whatever. And so there's a lot of explanations for and as to why these wouldn't be it, basically. So all I'm saying is there are a million other places that over the years have been seen as the gateway to hell. And they all have their story and lore. And I think I really want to try to do some more of these like stories like this. Like, I think this what was it, the Gates of Guinea in New Orleans, that is honestly, I think I want to do kind of a whole episode just on that itself, because it was very interesting. I had to like pull myself away from reading about that, to be honest with you. So I want to try to maybe do an episode on that too, but we'll see. Honestly, though, I do find them fascinating because I really do enjoy learning about like other religions and belief systems and practices and stuff like that. But I really do. So I will say I am not a religious person in the very slightest little bit. Not a part of me is religious at all. So the general approved version of heaven and hell that we're talking about is the version that I'm going to go with as we're speaking about this. And I will say, I do believe that there is some form of like an afterlife of some sort, because in my head, the consciousness that makes you you feels like it has the power to control every single part of you, right? It controls your hands, your voice, your thoughts, all of that, right? But really, in reality, you are just a big meat sack. And with electrons firing and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So your consciousness is like what makes you move and what does all of that. But in my head, it makes sense that, say, the biological parts of you, your bones, your muscles, all of that, your brain can die. But the consciousness part of you, where it's like, I feel this way or I feel that way, it feels like that could still kind of go off into the universe.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because like matter is neither created nor destroyed, all of that, right? So, whether I believe in heaven and hell the traditional Christian way, jury's out. But I do believe that there is a possibility for something after life on Earth, if that makes sense.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Or what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, about the same, I guess. Like, I grew up in a very religious family. On my dad's side, at least. My mom's side was kind of, they were religious, but they weren't hugely into it. My dad's side was very, very into it. They still are. It's
Sure.
not that I don't believe, but I'm kind of with you. There's something eventually, there's something, but nobody actually knows what it is,
Correct. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't care. Like, everyone believe in your religion, that's fine. You do you. Everyone
Oh,
has
absolutely. I'm not trying to shut down anybody's belief
no.
systems
But
by
then
any means.
nobody can come after us for thinking how we think either. Is what I'm kind of.
Yep.
Like,
no, I think that that's a good point, though. I am, just by talking about this kind of subject, Gateway to Hell is very indicative of a traditional Christian belief system. And we were both raised that way.
Yeah.
And so you and I can both see the traditional heaven and hell
Yep.
versions versus somebody that wasn't raised that way, or somebody that was raised in, say, a different religion that does not focus on those things.
Yeah.
And so everybody's belief system as far as the afterlife is different.
Yeah, exactly.
But
There's like,
we are focusing, and we're not judging, or we're not saying anything bad about one
no,
religion or the
I
other or anything like that.
grew up very, very, like, it was Sunday church.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do that now, obviously. I believe that you can pray and talk to God, whatever, at home. You don't have to go into this building to do it. That is my thought.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's, my thing.
I don't see anything wrong with so just as we're talking about all of this, I do want to make it very, very clear we are not shitting on somebody's religion or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
We were both raised Christian. If you know anything about North Dakota, we are very whitewashed. We are very Christian.
Minnesota, too.
Yep. So that is the version of hell
Yeah.
that we are going with.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with believing something else.
Nope.
And like I said, I consider myself an atheist or something along those lines, where I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell. I do believe that there could be something else, but in a different way. So it's all in perspective.
Yeah.
So,
and nobody knows what's right and what's wrong, honestly.
Exactly.
You believe in what you want to believe in, and that is how you live your life. That's
exactly.
I'm not going to be here to tell somebody what to believe in or not to believe in. That is not what I want to do, because I don't expect anybody to do that to me. So.
Or that what they believe in is wrong.
Yep,
or something.
that's what yeah, exactly. Like
Yep. So
if you want to believe in it, you do you, but don't push it on me. Yep. Yeah.
So all that to say is the gateway to hell that we are talking about is the traditional Lutheran Catholic version of heaven and hell.
Yep.
So, okay. The gateway to hell that we're going to talk about today is located in Tagus, North Dakota. Tagus is in Montreal County, about 30 to 40 miles west of Minot, North Dakota, which is where if you've never been here, that's where one of the bigger Air Force bases is in North Dakota. Actually, I think it might be the biggest Air Force base. It's either that or
Grand Forks. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's Minot Air Force Base is humongous. So you may have heard of Minot. If you know military anything, you may have heard of Minot Air Force Base. Also, way back in the day when the big North Dakota oil boom happened, it is way up in that corner of the state.
That's more than likely what people are going to think of is the oil.
Yeah. So that was, when did that start? 2008? 7? Something like that?
Yeah, it was, something.
It was before I graduated high school. But so if you remember the big old North Dakota oil boom, essentially, it took place up in that northwestern corner of North Dakota. That is where we're talking about as far as Tagus goes. So if you've never been to North Dakota before, I wouldn't expect you to know any of that. So arguably, though, I didn't know where Tagus was until today when I Googled it.
Yeah, so, me neither.
So, here we go. Everybody gets a little geography lesson from the person that is the worst at geography.
There's Google.
Literally Googled whether Turkmenistan and Turkey were the same fucking thing today. So I don't know. It's not good.
I definitely knew that one. That was, but my cousin was stationed there for a long time. So that's why.
In Turkey?
Yeah. My cousin that actually just passed away.
Oh.
It's not funny.
Nope.
But it's ironic. But yeah, no, he was in the Air Force. He was stationed there for, gosh, I don't remember how long. 1 or 2, 3, I don't know, something like that.
Oh, for a while then.
Yeah, yep, he was, yeah.
Oh,
he got drunk a lot. He had a lot of fun. Then he came home.
Honestly, I would love to visit some places like over like that.
Yeah.
I
I
was
want to say he went to Germany too. He
well,
did
I love
Turkey and
Germany.
Germany.
Well, I love
Hmm.
Germany. I would
I'm pretty
move
sure
to
that's what he
Munich in a
did.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
Listen, I still think about Munich every day.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so
Either way.
I definitely knew the difference between those two. I'm really
Well,
glad that I did. Compare-
at least one of us did.
I was gonna say there's a first for everything. I knew something and you didn't.
I'm so proud of
Woo!
you.
Me too, actually.
Okay. So, I do have the upper hand as far as knowing things that you don't know because I know the topic, which means I can actually research the questions that I already don't know
I know how to
so that I
edit,
can answer them
and
for
you
you.
don't.
I know, and I appreciate the shit out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So,
Anyway.
anyways, Tagus was founded in 1900, and it was along what was then the Great Northern Railway's transcontinental route. So, at this point in time, it became a popular railroad stop, right? So, people were kind of always in and out of there, and um, this is why it became a like a town that was like it wasn't just a out in the middle of nowhere town. It became kind of more of a used
Yeah.
town in nowhere North Dakota, right? Because they were on the railway.
I honestly think
Um,
everywhere was nowhere at that time though. There's
yeah.
definitely less um frick, what am I thinking? Cities, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
definitely less cities or whatever in that there. Okay, that was
Yeah,
like the least educational sentence ever. I'm erasing that.
that's fine. Yeah, no. So it was one of those places that really honestly, because it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, only had people in and around it because of the railway system.
Yeah.
So it reached its peak population in 1940. Do you want to guess how many people was that peak population as of the 1940 census?
Oh shit. Okay.
It's less than you think.
I'm going like 100.
140.
Oh,
So
I'm
yeah,
pretty
you were pretty close.
close.
Yeah, you were. You did a good job on that one.
Look at that.
Yeah, top notch, man.
Yeah.
So by the time the 1970s census came around, it was down to 14 people.
What the heck?
And then they stopped using that railway. So
Oh,
people were
yeah.
moving away to try to find jobs and whatever and support their families. So they stopped using it. And then by 1976, the very last business closed. And basically, since then, it's been essentially a ghost town since 1976.
Is there
Um,
anything there now? Do you know?
there's nothing open right now.
Okay.
There's some people that do consider Tagus their town. Um, but it's officially been unincorporated, and so it's no longer like a like an incorporated city or anything like
Okay.
that, right? So it's unincorporated. It doesn't really quote exist anymore, but there are some people up there that do consider it their town.
Okay.
Um,
I wasn't sure if
there's
there's like a
no
random gas
there's no
station or liquor
nope,
store or something. There's always a gas
no,
station and
not
a
as
liquor
far as I
store and
can
a
tell.
church.
That's true. Well, hold that in mind. But no, as far as I can tell, there is not a single business open there. Nobody lives within the typical city boundaries. So all of these other people that may consider it home live out of town basically. So nobody would lives in the specific city boundaries, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So there's nothing there anymore. It's a ghost town. Essentially, like I said, there are a few people that live near it that kind of do consider it their hometown or whatever, but it's really not anything at this point in time.
Okay.
So it's been vacant essentially since in 1976 when that last business closed. It's been disincorporated. It's a ghost town by all intents and purposes. And like I said, there are some people living outside of the city limits that still consider it their hometown, but there's mostly it is a little tiny town consisting of vacant structures of businesses and homes and just all kind of decrepit and broken or worn down and whatever.
Okay.
So I mean, you can kind of picture what this little town looks like in nowhere, North Dakota. So I'm sure, listen, I have grown up in North Dakota basically my entire life. I'm allowed to say there is nowhere North Dakota. Okay, I'm allowed to say it because I've been there because I grew up there.
I did
The
not.
fact that my high school had 60 people graduate was a big class. That was a big class for my school. 60 people. So, small town nowhere North Dakota. Yeah, I'm allowed to say that. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, this town has seen its fair share of vandalism, as well as its just general assholiness of people that shithead teens take part in, right?
Yeah.
Teenagers suck. There's vandalism. They break shit. They're just the worst.
Bored. They're just
Yeah.
bored and they don't know what else to do except fuck shit up. Got it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I mean, I was a
So
teenager once and I was
not much
right
better.
there.
Not
No,
much better. I never
no, nah.
vandalized anything. I
Does
never
stealing a
vandalized.
stop sign count as vandalism?
I hope not because I stole a big cone, one of those big orange traffic cones.
Oh my god, my dad used to do that all the time.
See? Okay. So I think we're both fine.
My dad did it. Kendall and I and a couple of our
You
friends
stole
stole a stop.
you said a stop sign.
Well, okay, I was
That's
on
certainly
watch.
more illegal.
I was on watch. Kendall and the friends were stealing the
Kendall.
sign.
Kendall, I thought better
She
of
put
you.
it on her wall in her bedroom and thought mom and dad would wouldn't realize it. It was a stop sign on one of our roads going home.
That all of a sudden went missing and just happened to show up in your daughter's bedroom wall.
Yeah, my dad definitely knew. I don't think our mom caught on, but my dad is not. My dad's not dumb. He knew. He just
Kendall,
didn't care.
Kendall, I am both disappointed and impressed. Mostly impressed. Proud of you, girl.
It was one of the big ones too that all of a sudden just went missing and
I love it. Can I tell you the silliest thing? Okay. I'm going to tell you the silliest, stupidest teenage thing that I did
okay.
with a bunch of my friends. So, one time, me and a couple friends, and I'm not naming any names, and I refuse to name anything outside of that. We were driving around town, and somebody had this big raccoon yarn ornament.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen. Okay. So we were like, yard ornament coming home with us. It's a big raccoon. Turns out they filled it with cement and it was very heavy.
I remember you telling me this.
Didn't deter a bunch of asshole teenagers. And if this was you, if I took your raccoon, I'm so sorry. Because
Are you though?
I am. Because now as an adult, I would be so fucking mad.
I would be so if someone's oh my god.
But the thing about this raccoon is that we would just randomly leave it in our friends' cars. So I would have it for whatever, and it would sit in my passenger seat and look out the window, or we would put it in somebody's car when they would go to work or whatever, and it just made its way around our little friend group, and it was just if I stole or if me and my friends, not I did not carry it to the car. Arguably, I could not carry it.
I was gonna say you probably took no part in carrying it at all.
It was so heavy. I do apologize if that was you because now, as an adult, I know better, and I'm so sorry. You can't prove that it was me. You can't prove that it was me. Also, this was in like 2008, so I think the statute of limitations has run out.
Something tells me they knew who took it. If you guys
Probably
fucking, there's no way. If you were driving around with this thing in your car, they had to have seen it. Or somebody they knew had to have seen it, and we're just like, there it is. And just didn't care.
You have to take that part out.
Why? Is your dad gonna hear? I was trying to hold that in. I was like, fuck it, I'm letting it out.
You're the worst human being. Yeah, both of them can hear it now. Oh my god. Okay. God, that's so. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm like crying right now. Hold on.
It was like word vomit. It wasn't getting swallowed.
Oh my god, no, that was good. Okay.
Okay, we gotta go back to the story now. Holy shit, we went off.
Alright. Oh god. Okay, so shithead teens are taking over just everything that they think they can, right? You were a shithead teen, I was a shithead teen.
Yeah, everyone's a shithead teen.
Exactly. Nothing is safe. Mm-mm. So one of these stories that come from this time is that on Halloween night in like the mid 80s, 300 teenagers from neighboring towns show up ready to absolutely destroy this town.
300?
300!
How do you band that many people together?
That's twice the size of the maximum population that is ever in this town.
I don't think I've even known 300 people in my life, nor do I want to.
I don't want to take part in a riot that is... I don't know. That just seems like you're asking for fucking problems.
In my head, I was thinking, you people. I don't care about the riot. I just don't like the people.
I don't want to be associated with a specific amount of property damage or fire.
No, I would like stay in the back and just like watch. You know?
Yeah. No, but see, I don't want my name in there.
No, man, no. We'd be hiding in the bushes somewhere, if there is any. Maybe behind a tree.
With 300 people, somebody's gonna say your name at some point in time. Oh
Nobody
yeah,
knows me.
there. I went there with my friend Stacy. That's how she knows it.
I don't have enough friends. It would be you and I, man.
Thankfully, though, the county sheriff had managed to hear about it somehow, which, wow, I don't know how a sheriff managed to find out about a 300-person fucking riot ascending on a tiny little ghost town on Halloween.
Seriously.
Halloween. Well, and it's
Halloween. Why Halloween?
And they're teenagers. They run their fucking mouths. Yep. Constantly. They're telling everybody the shit that they're going to do. Their parents are probably downstairs being like, they pick up the landline and they're like, just listening to their child be like, okay, so
Son
on
of
Halloween
a bitch.
night.
Yeah.
God damn it. John, your son is doing it again.
Why John?
I don't know. The most basic dad name I could come up with.
It really is, actually.
So anyways, somehow the sheriff of the county sheriff was like, we're gonna put a fucking stop to this. Like, okay guys, you're so you got all right, go for it, but we're gonna put a stop to it as you get there. And so then they all scatter, right? So thankfully during that point in time, nothing actually happened to the town, right? They did manage to like kind of shut it down enough to where no real damage was done, thankfully. Plus, if the town is only able, like at its height, to hold 140 people, 300 people, somebody's going to get really hurt. Don't you think?
Probably. Whether the town was big or not, someone's going to get hurt. 300 people.
Seriously, and they're all going in for destruction purposes. So somebody's getting hurt. So, I don't know. Teenagers. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's the
I
80s.
can't
It's the
even.
80s of it all, I guess.
Yeah.
So throughout the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, during the absolute peak of satanic panic, rumors of satanic rituals began flying around this town. There's rituals being performed here, sacrifices, etc., right? Satanic panic. Your kids can't listen to Marilyn Manson, blah blah. Like, and I want to make it very clear to everybody listening, there is no satanic panic. There never was. It was literally just made up in the 80s because people wanted to wear black, which means they must be associated with the devil.
Ah, shit.
Satanic panic, unfortunately, was real, but there was no basis behind it. And everybody that took part in spreading that fear, I hope you feel ashamed of yourselves right now, because that's pretty pathetic. There's no real evidence supporting any claim of satanic panic inducing incidents at that time. Just as a heads up. So, however, in this story, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, satanic panic is in full fucking force, and all of these stories of satanic rituals happening in Tagus are taking place, right? Because now it's an abandoned ghost town. It's been abandoned, and I mean, in the 80s, it's only been 10 years, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's really fresh and is really new, and a lot of the people around there knew, or probably knew, people that lived there or worked there or had family there or something like that, right? So these rumors included the likes of human and animal sacrifices. This is going to be the goriest that this part gets, by the way. And if you don't want to hear all of these, like, quote, satanic ritual, there's only like 30 seconds worth of them, and then it goes back to being pretty okay. Human and animal sacrifices, bestiality, cannibalism, infants on skewers being sacrificed during rituals, repeated torture and murder of kittens in the floor or in the trees, basically any other stereotypical ritual that you can think of. Fire, like a bonfire with like people around it chanting, and all of, like, goats being sacrificed, like, just literally any stereotypical satanic ritual that you can think of is
Why is it always
swirling.
goats? Is there something with goats that I just missed?
Honestly, I don't know, but I've thought about that too.
Like, as soon as you said like animals, I'm like goats, but I don't know why.
Well,
The
and
hell.
so what I think is part of the goat thing is because in a lot of depictions of, like, Satan himself, he is very goat-like, or he's described as very goat-like, where he may have the horns, like, of a goat, or he may have the hooves of a goat, or something
Yeah.
like that. So I think that, and I could be extremely wrong, because I have no idea, really, but I'm thinking that maybe some of it comes from those typical descriptions where the horns of a goat, or the hooves of a goat, or something attributed between the two of them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be
I
completely
definitely
wrong.
have no idea, so that's a lot
Mm-mm.
better than what I got.
So that's all I can come up with, but maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I'll Google that. So there was, however, an upside down cross painted on the front of St. Olaf's Lutheran Church, which again is another satanic sign or whatever, or shitty teenagers fucking around.
Yeah, I'm going with that.
So essentially, the town shut down in 1976. Throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was just teenagers being little shitheads. Then in 2001, so what's that, 35 years later?
Sure.
2001. Okay. The church, this St. Olaf's church with this upside down cross painted on it, burned to the ground.
Something tells me it was arson, but okay.
Well, okay, so there's two different camps. One, a lot of the cases say that it was caused by electrical issues,
Yeah. Okay. I
which I
believe
guess
that.
could make sense. But then a lot of people also believe that it was vandals that did it on purpose. So, yep. Either way,
Yeah.
the general consensus is vandals, arson. So, either way, inside this church, there was a spiral staircase that went down into what would have been the basement of the church. And this is where the Stairway to Hell is theoretically located. This spiral stairs down into what would have been the basement of this church. Right?
Yeah.
So, in the fire, however, and the subsequent cleanup of like the location after the fire, the staircase has been kind of like buried.
Yeah.
And the basement is basically gone. As far as you can, as you would assume, as you would imagine. So
yeah.
You aren't able to technically go down the stairs. However, that doesn't seem to matter when you're around this area. If you stand anywhere near the location of the stairs or the church, it is widely reported that you can hear screams of those being tormented or tortured or just those condemned to hell. Like, you can hear like those really guttural screams that make you want to die. What? That wasn't good. That was a good phrase. My bad. But apparently there's stories of like these just awful screams that sound like people are being tortured or, dragged down to the pits of hell or whatever, which I think is where it gets the Stairway to Hell name, right?
Yeah.
If people are continuously hearing these screams and whatever. So, on Reddit, now, Reddit did kind of bum me out a little bit this time. I shouldn't have expected as much as I was. I was really trying to find stories of people, like firsthand stories of people that had been there and whatever. But it's the tiniest little ghost town in North Dakota. I don't know why I thought that there would be more stories on Reddit. Who's gonna fucking go there? And if they did, who's gonna put it on fucking Reddit? Like, I don't know. Anyways, so a lot of the people that were, or a lot, this is across the board, across all of the like articles that I read and everything. If you go to, say, explore Tagus or to find the staircase to hell or whatever, locals will often chase you down and run you out of town with a gun. They do not want you there. They do not want you there. The people that call it home do not want you there. And they'll come after you with their four-wheeler or a truck and a gun and be like, get the fuck out of here. So regardless of what you hear or see, maybe that's why there's not many stories.
Fucked up, but okay. It's iconic, actually.
That is like the most widely reported thing that happens here. Either way, I don't want it. Either way. Okay. So, quote, here are some of the stories that I found on Reddit. Quote, yeah, people always have weird interactions up there. We got followed by a truck when we went through there. End quote. Even when driving on Highway 2 past Berthold hundreds of times when I lived up there, every time I saw the sign that showed the directions to Tagus, I'd get a little chill down my spine. I hardly even knew the story at that point, which I always thought was weird. Definitely something weird going on. And then there were also 7 many posts about saying that like the Air Force or the airmen at Minot AFB all know you don't go over there. You don't go there. You just don't think about messing with it because of how like haunted and whatever. It's like one of those stories where it's like, I mean, you can, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? And apparently that's a very common like story throughout the Minot Air Force Base, but I don't know. Never been there. Well, I've been through there, but whatever. Okay. Another one says, quote, this one is honestly kind of the creepier one, the creepiest of these stories that I found. So, I have a friend that used to work in the Tagus area. One night they went through the Tagus railroad crossing, which makes sense because that was like the big thing about the town. Right as they were about to cross the train tracks, the truck's engine stalled and all of the cab lights turned on. One of the guys in the truck freaked out and screamed, saying he saw a train coming. He jumped out of the truck and then ran into the pitch black night. The rest of the crew stayed with the truck and finally managed to get it to restart. And then a few minutes after it restarted, the guy that ran off comes back and, quote, my friend said the guy that was different from then on. I don't like that. Don't run off in the middle of the day. Like, and especially up there, God, it's pitch black. There's no lights. There's no street lights.
No, there's nothing there.
Mm-mm. You will just go into the oblivion and not be found again. Like, until the sun comes up and you're found in a field or something. Like, yeah. So, okay, more creepy stories come from this area in the form of hellhounds. Hellhounds are said to be the guardian or servants of hell. The guardian or servant of hell, the devil himself, or the underworld. They are described as very large, black, supernaturally strong, and often with red, glowing eyes, and or are accompanied by flames. Quote, if you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If twice, it shall be for sorrow. And the third time shall bring death. Which is just fabulous. And most of my hellhound knowledge is from Supernatural, the show, where you sell your soul to the devil, and then after 10 years, Dean and Sam have to come and rescue you from these hellhounds, right? Because they want to drag you back to the pits of hell. Which, yeah, I don't want that.
No.
I don't want that. I don't want a big black dog carrot, like, no. So these hellhounds are said to be lying in wait in Tagus. They will either greet you upon your arrival or literally just appear out of nowhere to surprise you. Either way, they're extremely aggressive, barking, snarling, snapping, and essentially threatening to rip your heart out. One story claims that upon encountering one of these hellhounds near the site of the church, upon inspection, they found blood from the hellhound slobbered all over their vehicle.
That's nah. I don't like that either.
I don't like that. I don't like when dogs in general get all slobbery.
Yeah.
I don't like when they get all slobbery in general. It's a part of why I'm a cat person. But for it to slobber blood all over the side of my car, I am so uninterested in
At least with your car, you may not see it as well.
Just because it's red. Smart ass.
Yeah. I'm just pointing it out and you know it.
Either way.
Dog slobber.
I don't like dog slobber in general, but if it's blood, this dog is slobbering blood all over my car,
absolutely not.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
out. Mm-mm. Nah. I'm not even sold on going to this town at all.
I could handle a lot, okay? I could handle a lot as far as like spooky, creepy things go. Okay? I grew up in a fucking funeral home, so
yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
I can handle a lot. However, when it comes to like actual like physical representations of voices, sounds, whatever, doesn't really. But if it's a physical representation of this, like blood on my car, I'm out. I'm out. There are also reports of greenish glowing gravestones near the church. makes sense to me. If this is a pit to hell and the church, and even say there was satanic rituals there, which there probably weren't, but just the amount of stories being told and stories being told and stories being told in this area, it could lead to a lot of really unrestful like energy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it could be one of those things where they just tell the story enough times that people like you've created your own demon, basically.
Yeah.
So there are reports of glowing green gravestones near the church, and I hate that also. But I like that better than the hellhounds, I think.
Yeah.
There are also many reports of phantom ghost trains running through the railroad tracks. Which I mean, honestly, you know, is the lifeline of this little town for the longest time. So it makes sense that there would be like ghost trains, in my opinion. But also, it makes sense as to why that one guy would have seen a train and bolted out of the truck and ran into the woods. Woods. But and it would make sense because sometimes you do hear those stories where I saw it and you didn't, even though we're looking at the
Yeah.
same thing, right? Stuff like that can seemingly pick and choose who sees it and who doesn't, or who experiences and who doesn't, and or you hear those stories of like people sleeping and like they're trying to wake their partner up because they're experiencing something and their partner is like dead asleep and they can't wake them
Yeah.
up. So it seems like,
In
yeah,
my head, I feel like it depends on like what you believe in and what you don't believe in too. You know?
yeah,
Like if you don't believe
yep,
in something, you're obviously not going to have those feelings or those visuals or, you know, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think though that regardless of what you feel, you can still kind of get like a vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like this town is decrepit and creepy. Like it makes me uncomfortable to be here
Yeah.
or something like that. You know what I mean? Um because it is a ghost town, most of the buildings are decrepit and abandoned,
Mhm.
falling apart, whatever. And essentially like the whole town is just a breeding ground for hauntings, right? All of the houses that are there, the buildings, the businesses, everything that's there is whatever. And so it's really just kind of a perfect storm for hauntings. So sounds of weeping, moaning, screaming, all heard fairly frequently. The sounds of a baby crying rings throughout the buildings. Um, Unfortunately, a lot as far as I could tell, fairly frequently as well. But going back to all of those things that they were claiming like satanic rituals, and the baby on the stick or the infants on sticks or whatever, babies on pikes or whatever they were. I could see crying being or infant crying being a very residual, very commonly like it makes sense to me from A to B, you know. As horrible as it is. I could you know, I think that might be the part
I don't like
as far
that.
as like disembodied. As far as disembodied, I've heard voices, I've heard steps on stairs. Like, God, the number of times that I hear footsteps on fucking stairs or something. Jesus. At this point, Madame 𝓕𝓸𝓷𝓷 herself could walk down the stairs and stare at me. And I would be like, hey, look, try something new. Right?
Ugh.
I've This isn't fancy. This isn't new. You're not that cool. But infants
I hate
crying,
that.
that one I hate.
Nope. I
It's
mm-mm.
up that one I hate. And partially because it's a baby.
Hate it.
It's a baby. I hate it. I don't. And like I said earlier with the satanic panic rituals involving infants, I don't like those that the crying is also um being talked about when it comes to being around this town.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
That's yeah, I
Um
mm-mm.
yeah. And then there's oftentimes like footsteps or dragging or that uh high pitched screeching sound that the train makes when it's trying to stop with its brakes. That
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that's yep, so that's heard sometimes too, but yeah, a lot of the or you know how a lot of especially at the time, a lot of them would have like wooden floors or like of the boxcars and stuff would
Yeah.
have like that wooden floor that's really uneven and stuff that's
Yeah, it's
really
just
you could
quickly put
hear
together pretty much.
yeah, and you can hear footsteps like walking
Yep.
across those even though the train car or whatever it's not
Yeah.
there in general, so it's like you can hear all of that stuff at times too. So the whole town sounds like it's haunted. I hate the babies and the hellhounds.
Yeah, I was actually, like I said,
Those are the
I was kind of just,
those are the two that I think I don't yeah.
no,
I don't want to encounter either.
no,
Well,
I agree.
and I mean, okay, in personally I don't want to encounter the hellhounds because meh,
No,
I don't want to encounter them. But the babies do make me more upset than I'd rather I'm not going to say that.
I don't want to, no, I'm not.
I'd rather encounter one or the other. I'm not going to say that. No.
No, I was
Um
looking at just like,
babies make me more upset.
yeah, I don't want to hear ghost babies crying like ever. I'm gonna pass on that. Thank
Mm-mm.
you.
Yes. And it's like, you know, as a human being, you do kind of want to go and check on the baby.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we ain't gonna
And it's
find
like,
one.
oh my God. And especially if 1% or 0.1% of these stories is true about these satanic rituals that was supposedly going on. I mean,
I hate
if
that one.
that's one of the stories that go well, I know, but if that's one of the stories that is going around, it makes sense that you may hear like infant crying,
Yeah.
which makes me nauseous.
It makes me more than nauseous. Makes me just,
Mhm.
yeah. No, I mean, I was,
Mhm.
God. I'm just looking at some of these pictures still.
It's pretty.
It's like a,
I think a lot of these buildings are really pretty.
yeah, it's like a good place to take like senior photos because these buildings are pretty for that. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
don't, and
Yeah. And
I'm not reading anything that's on
it
there either, so I'm
does
not trying to ruin it, but I just like to be able to see it.
no, that's all I have of my story. That's all I have of my
Okay.
story. So if you read something that I didn't say, that's fine. Um but it's surprisingly pretty. And it looks really well kept for being abandoned for 70, 80, 90, 50 years. But it looking at those pictures, it absolutely makes sense that people were thinking something satanic could be going on.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm looking at like what's left of like the church.
Oh, there's not much
No,
left of the
it's just,
church.
yeah, that
I was gonna say I think it's just the big like
it
stone or the
is.
big brick like
Yeah.
sign that was at the
Yeah,
church.
and it's
Mhm.
still beautiful though. Like the little
Mhm.
pathway that's walked.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. It looks honestly, it really does look gorgeous. All of the pictures that I saw
Yeah. And
were just beautiful.
I just in my head, like obviously it's like photography all the time. I don't know why. But like this is like
I can't imagine.
it's like a gold mine for that though. With the older buildings,
Mhm.
the ones that are still standing,
Mhm.
and that the church, like,
Mhm.
huh.
Yeah. And all of the articles or whatever that I did read of people like bloggers or whatever say that have been there before, we're all like, you know, we thought we heard XYZ, but it wasn't, you know, outrageous or wild. But all of them were like, there is a really eerie feeling around this
Yeah,
town.
there is.
Like it's eerie.
Even like looking at these pictures.
You can see it through the pictures.
Ugh.
It gives you kind of like, without even knowing like the story of the town, just looking at the pictures can be like, oh God.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me chills.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. It's beautiful, but there is really, really something
Yeah, there
eerie
is.
about this
There
town.
is.
And so like I said, all of the bloggers or whatever that I had read were like, yeah, we went there and we heard XYZ whatever, and it wasn't too bad like scary wise, but the entire time we were there, it felt like something didn't want us there
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, it, I get.
And like even if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, like for it to feel like I don't know about this town. I don't know anything about this town. I don't believe in ghosts or spirits or Satan and hell and whatever. But for it then to be like, I don't know what it was. Something felt like it didn't want me
Even
there.
like looking at those pictures, like all of them just made me like it was just weird.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
literally a ghost town.
Yeah. Well, we've got several of those in
Uh,
North Dakota.
yeah, but I mean, this one has a story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, but and it's like even if you didn't know the story and you just came across those pictures, in my opinion, it looks like if I'm just looking at the pictures without knowing the story, it was like something just feels off,
Yeah,
even just about the
it
pictures, or it's like something seems uneasy about the pictures.
yeah, and the cemetery is basically abandoned too.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
yeah, that's mm,
And we will post all of these pictures
yeah,
on our Instagram, on our socials and stuff, so you can kind of see. Let us know if you agree or not, or if say just because we know the story now that we're looking too much into the thing, like the pictures being like kind of eerie. But really, looking at the pictures did make me kind of like something is
yeah,
it's it's one of those things where it's like not everything is as it seems,
yeah, and
in my opinion.
yeah. Something definitely happened there, whether it's what the story is or not, but something definitely happened there.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it. And like I said, I don't believe that. Well, I satanic panic was a real thing that happened and whatever. And but there was very little basis for it, and it was really just a panic at the time
yeah,
for no reason. Um so not that I'm not saying that I believe that um many rituals were performed here or got anything like that, because there's very little evidence that satanic rituals were taking place or being a problem at the time. There's very little evidence. There's like almost no evidence. Maybe one case out of a million. I don't know. It's
yeah.
not it's not good. It's not good. It's like you wore black, you dyed your hair black.
Well,
Satan.
call me
Satan.
Satan.
I have black nails right now. I'm wearing black. My hair is very dark. Yours is black. Like, but it's like if you do that, then you're automatically like a Satan worshiper or something. It's like, but anyways, yeah. So it's like even if I thought for 1 second that any sort of satanic practices went on there, there's just
There's
something
something
unsettling about
weird.
the pictures, and I can't quite put my finger on why I think these pictures are
There's a
unsettling.
reason why the town's a ghost town, is kind of what it comes down to. Towns don't just not become town, not or you know what I mean? Like they're not.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's all I got. It's a beautiful little town. All the buildings are
They are,
gorgeous,
even if they're not obviously up to date.
even
Yeah,
abandoned.
like I
Even
said, like
abandoned. They're beautiful.
it
It does sound like nobody that lives up there wants you there, so please don't go up there and try to trespass on anything. It sounds like they're kind of tired of that, to be honest with you. So don't do any of that.
no.
If you're listening, don't do that. We're not telling you that. I'm telling you to look at the pictures on Google. If you have gone, don't go there. Don't go there because they don't want you there, apparently. And certainly do not trespass on anything, on
No.
anybody's land, anything like that. But if you have been there in the past, I would be very interested to hear your story.
Yeah,
So please send it to
absolutely.
us. So please send it to us.
Yeah.
And I with your permission, of course, I would love to read them in an episode.
Yeah. And if you
or
have
if you have
pictures, send those too.
Yes. Or it doesn't have to be about Tagus and the Stairway to Hell. Any kind of spooky story that you have that you want to share, I am 1,000% down for. I want to read all of your spooky ghost stories. I love spooky ghost stories. No Sleep is like one of my favorite things on, like I said, I love Reddit. I like the No Sleep. I like all of like those creepy ones that just make you go, ugh, gross. You know, I like those. So send them all to us.
Bonus points if they took place in North Dakota or Minnesota.
Correct. But we want them from everywhere.
Yeah.
We want them from everywhere.
I agree. I liked that. That was interesting.
Thank you.
It was nice. It was nice. It was like different that it was in North Dakota. Honestly, it was just, I don't know.
Yeah, and I kind of have been like trying to go kind of all over the place. Like one story here, one story there, like along the world, because obviously the world is
quite large,
and there are so many stories. Like with Jack the Ripper or the James Maybrick case being from London, and like 𝓕𝓸𝓾𝓙 in Germany, and then like the 𝓒洱 children. I know I'm going way back to the first couple episodes. Those are just the first ones I can come up with. Being in North Carolina, or Somerton Man was in Australia. Like I like to kind of bounce around like that, to where it's like I'm kind of hitting every corner to the best of my ability. Obviously, we're only 24 episodes in, so it's like I only have so many corners to hit at that point. But I like to be able to bounce around, and I like that. So send us all of your spooky stories.
Our email's always open.
Yes.
Always checked.
Yes. We both have it linked on our phone.
Yep. Sure do.
So all right. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank
you. Follow our socials. Do all the things.
Yeah.
We love you.
Like, subscribe, follow, download, review, whatever everybody else normally says.
All of it.
I don't know. Yeah. all of it.
All of it. We love everything. Like any even tiny little bit.
Yeah.
One quick little star, 5-star, whatever, or share with your friends if you find something interesting, or if you think they have a really interesting story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I got.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right. We're going to wrap up.
Bye.
Bye.